Hey everybody, Aaron here from Firefly Studios, and today we are bringing you raw gameplay from Stronghold Crusader DE. Now, for those of you who have played our recent demo, this will be familiar territory for you. This is our Ascalon scenario. Now, for this gameplay, it's actually being played by my friend here, Josh. So Josh, can you explain what you do at Firefly?
Yeah, well, I'm one of the QAs behind Stronghold Crusader.
Very good. So, Josh, I've been calling you our Stronghold expert. You don't so much like that term, but is it true that you've probably played the most Stronghold out of anybody at Firefly?
Within the company, certainly, yeah.
Yeah.
I would not compare myself to the community.
No, of course not. No, they're wise words given. We're about to watch your gameplay.
Yeah.
So yeah, Josh has recorded this gameplay. We were streaming it to the RTS Fest, and I thought, because there are a few people out there who maybe are new to Stronghold, didn't know, where to put their bakeries or where to put their swordsmen, Josh here could explain his tips and tricks. So Josh, are you ready to have your gameplay analyzed by me?
Absolutely.
Very good. All right. We will jump straight in. Okay, so we've begun the gameplay, and my first question, Josh, is... This is something I think I need to get better at, but when you immediately jump into a scenario, what are the first things you're looking out for? Obviously, you played this scenario quite a lot, because I made you play it a lot so you could get really good gameplay. But when you're jumping into a fresh map, what's the first thing you do?
Well, the first thing to look out for is, where is the oasis? Where can you place your farms? It's probably one of the most important things. So you see here, this is me placing my farms now.
Yeah, so why the apple farms? What's the reasoning?
Well, so I placed two wheat farms to get the bread production going, and one apple farm. The one apple farm was just because if you have two different food types in the granary, you get one bonus popularity, which isn't very much, but later on in the mission I should have quite a high tax rate, and the +1 will just tip me over into the positive.
And are you choosing a specific amount of apple farms to wheat farms? What's the reason in there?
But the apple farm, honestly, it's just purely for every now and again you'll get maybe 30 seconds of +1 popularity, which is just enough to keep your peasants at the campfire, keep your town happy. And then so 2 wheat farms is normally enough to keep your popularity fed, and then you'll see I placed 2 ale farms there as well, which 2 ale farms is about the right amount to basically have just a constant stream of alcohol for your town.
So you're placing all your farms more for the mid game than the early game, right? Because you're you're waiting for the bakeries and the inns and the brewers and all that sort of stuff.
It takes a little while to get going. But also when you start this mission, so you start with, I think it was 1,000 gold, which is enough that if you need to, you can just buy a small stock of food if you run out.
So it really depends on like what your starting resources are as well.
Yeah, I think if you start a mission with next to no gold, you might want to place more apple farms because they generate food quicker, as opposed to the the wheat farms and the ale.
Yeah, and then in terms of the oasis land, obviously we've got a massive stretch up to the top right, but is it usual that you would just place your farms as close to your keep as possible, or what's the reasoning there?
Most of the time, yeah. I mean, especially if it's a wheat farm, because the wheat goes to the stockpile, and then the wheat gets turned into bread. So you kind of want it as close to your stockpile in this scenario, but also in this map in particular, there are 2 signposts up to the top left, and that's where the enemies come from. So ideally, you don't want to place all your farms immediately where they spawn.
And now I've seen this tactic, and you haven't used it here, so I don't want to call you out, but the stockpile, I usually see people put it in like a big long line to try and get like min-max their like resource chains. Is there a reason you haven't done that, or you just forget?
Well, yeah, in this mission, you start with so much starting resources. Like, you see how much wood I have in my stockpile still, and I haven't bought anything. Like, that's just what you start with on the mission. So if I were to delete my stockpile to try and stretch it out, I would lose a lot of resources. Of course, I could sell the wood, but then I'd have to buy it all back, and I just don't think it's worth on this particular mission. But yeah, if you have no resources, you'd be as well moving your stockpile closer to the farms in this scenario, or maybe even the quarries. Yeah, you have so much that I don't think it's worth on this mission.
All right. And you can say, whenever I ask you a question, you can say because I just wanted to do it. There doesn't have to be a specific reason.
Okay, yeah. I'll try. I'm so bad for rambling as well, so
Oh,
please
no, no,
just.
no, no. It's good. It's just I want to give you the out in case I ask a very specific question
Okay.
and you're just like, what the hell?
Yeah, it
I just,
looks
I just,
pretty.
I just did it because I wanted to, you know. But next question. This wall situation, is there a precise reasoning behind your doing your wall like this?
Well, another one of the most important objectives of this particular map is protecting this small area of oasis that you have, and that's why the wall. It looks a bit silly just now. You know, it's massive. It's a lot of empty space, but it's just to stop this invasion that's just spawned from actually reaching my farms and destroying them.
Yeah. The archers are straight up there. Yeah. And you're deciding to send your, because a lot of players I see just like absolutely hermit and keep all their troops within the castle to like try to maximize their health over the game session. So what's the reasoning behind you sending all your knights out?
Yeah, well, so in this mission, you start with the knights, and they're really, really strong, especially against the new Bedouin troops, because they're quite heavily armored and they're fast. And you'll notice I made a mistake here. I should have really turned them aggressive, because I forgot to control them to
There you
move them.
go.
And it would have been nicer if they were aggressive. They would have just done this themselves. But yeah, they're so strong that I don't see much point in just hiding them at your keep. You'd be as
Yeah.
well standing them outside the walls, at least at the start of the mission. You can move them in later, but yeah. I got quite lucky here that there's no slaves in this invasion, because you can see, well, they've just gone off screen now, but the skirmishers have run down to my quarries. And if that was slaves, they would have set everything on fire and I would have lost all that straight away. So
Yeah, absolutely.
thankfully.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I've again like this is. I mean, I'll let you into a little secret. I was terrible at this scenario, and let me just tell you that one, didn't put my farmyards inside my wall. I got wrecked, and two, I somehow completely missed that the Bedouin skirmishers headed down to my quarry, and then didn't realize I had no quarry resource for about 20 odd minutes. So you've done
But
much
we've all
better.
been there. We've all
Yeah,
been there.
yeah, exactly. And also now your quarries. Now, personally, I always thought it was one ox tether per quarry, but you seem to have put almost double the amount down. So is that maximizing your resource train for stone?
Yeah, but it's more related to how far away the quarries are from the stockpile. Because it takes quite a long time for the ox to be escorted back to the stockpile to drop off stone. And if you just, at this distance anyway, if you just had one quarry, ox per quarry, by the time that it reaches the stockpile, then the actual, like, the area where the stone is, like, waiting to be picked up will have already filled up. And you'll need to, you're essentially wasting stone by not having excess ox in there.
Yeah. I see. I'm learning so much already, Josh. See, this is mind blowing.
We'll see. It's early days. There'll be a lot of mistakes to come, I'm sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, speaking of a mistake here, actually, so I just set on the market you can enable auto trading. So what I've done there was I set it so any stone, as soon as I get more than 30 stone, it automatically sells away. So if I get 32, it'll sell 2 stone, back down to 30. This is actually a mistake on my part because the towers that I want to place cost 35 stone. So I should have really capped that at 35
see,
and not 30.
I think you're being too hard on yourself. I think that is such precise. Like, I reckon the hardcore of the hardcore Stronghold players might have a problem with you doing that. But as a more casual player, like, I'm just that, I don't think I've ever touched auto selling in my life. So I still do it manually.
It's
like
a
an
lifesaver.
absolute caveman.
Trust me.
Yeah. But it was the other demo scenario with all the iron, which I'm sure we'll do commentary on in another time. But yeah, the auto selling and stuff. When I think it was you who taught me to do that actually. When I started doing that, it changed my Stronghold life. I had so much gold, it was crazy.
It's a lot of clicks that you don't have to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Basically.
Saves the RSI,
Yeah.
So whilst that's all been happening, you started off your food production. Now, this might be a long answer, but can you do a deep dive into bread? Because I think that's a key tactic that a lot of Stronghold players should know. So yeah, what's going on with your bakeries? What's going on with your mill? And why are they positioned the way they're positioned?
So generally in Stronghold Crusader, bread is the most fruitful farm resource, I suppose, is the word I'm looking for. It generates the most amount of food for how little oasis space it uses. I think, anyway. At least it feels like it. So yeah, basically the goal here is to stockpile up on flour, which is what the mill turns the wheat into flour. So that's placed as close to the stockpile as possible, so the workers just have, like, 5 tiles to run back and forth, as opposed to running across the whole keep and back.
Oh, wait, did you just say 5 tiles to walk across?
Something like that, yeah.
That is. When you're bringing in tiles into it, that is crazy.
Well, we're okay. Let's say 5 yards or
Five,
something.
five, yeah,
Let's
yeah.
make
I
that
think
simpler.
tiles is applicable, and I suppose that's why I've got the resident stronghold expert in. But that is, I've never thought about stronghold in tiles. Like that's the
Well,
sort of
that's when you play Stronghold so much that that's how your brain works. It's not just oh, how many steps does this guy have to take? It's no, how many tiles
how
does
many
this guy
tiles.
play?
How many times
Yeah.
do you dream of tiles in your sleep?
Oh no, I close my eyes and it's just
It's just
red tiles. Can't play.
tiles
It's
and
not enough
tiles and tiles.
oasis space.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So another question I had was obviously, you kind of know where to put specific buildings and units and everything like that. So is there, I've seen a lot of people play Stronghold where they play it for a scenario once, and then they'll just use that as almost like a scouting session to try find out where the enemy's coming from, where buildings are placed and stuff like that. Is that something you do, or do you just like try your best at every single session?
Sometimes I'll do that, definitely. It's kind of hard to do that on every map. For example, this map, the first time you try it, yes, you can work out where you can place farms. So there's small patches of oasis, you can place farms there. But when it comes to invasions, which we can see there's one happening now, on this map there are 3 signposts. So there's 2 up at the top there, and then there's 1 actually down to the right near the quarries. And I believe it's completely random where the attacks come from. So you can only kind of, predict so much or try to predict so much, and then it's just down to chance where they come from. But there are 2 up at the top, so they're twice as likely to spawn there. Which you can see that's why all my troops are standing at that side of the wall.
Yeah,
And we just
absolutely.
pray that they don't come from the other one. Otherwise, that's panic. And then, you got run up, run over.
That's certainly what I do in Stronghold. Just a lot of praying, to be honest. So okay, so you got your food starting to go. You got your woodcutters. Oh, actually, we didn't talk about woodcutters. Is there any specific technique you're using with woodcutters, or are you just putting them near trees and pretty simple?
Generally, I just put them near trees. Although, specifically, the reason I put them here where I did was because we didn't see it actually in the video, but at the start there are lions on this map, which is why I rushed a couple of extra archers and moved them down to try and clear out the lions at the bottom of the map.
Yeah.
There's also a pack of lions up at the top, which I actually like to leave, because as long as you don't build the woodcutters too far away, the lions won't bother you. And then if you leave the lions there when the enemy invasion spawns, they have to deal with them instead of your own troops.
I like that a lot.
It's just a little bit extra help.
Yeah, absolutely. Very good. So, again, marketplace is going. Your bakeries are going, but I see you've started putting workshops down. So we're looking at weaponry. So is there any technique you're using there? Like any specific, like I'm using 2 blacksmiths or 1 blacksmith, or what's the play there?
Yeah, normally I would just place 20 Fletchers and make crossbows with all of them, but that's quite boring to watch. So here with the small iron patch that's within the walls, I think you can only fit 1 iron quarry on it. You see it there at the top left. That's just enough that I can slowly, so come towards the end of the game, I'll have a small stockpile of swords and shields. But generally, I just focus on building Fletchers here. The problem on this map, or at least for how I've played it, is I haven't placed a dairy farm, which means that if I want to recruit crossbowmen, I can make the crossbows, but I have to buy the leather armor, which is pricey. Which is partly where the ale comes in handy, because you can put your taxes so high, because it provides such a bonus to popularity. It probably would have been better to delete the apple farm and put a dairy farm.
I was going to say, was there any?
But...
Yeah, was there any? Because obviously you have all this oasis space in the top right here. So Was that just a classic Josh mistake, you know?
Yeah,
Oh,
that sounds like a classic
okay.
mistake. Like,
Yeah.
I've never actually tried to use those farms up next to like the ones outside the walls. Or sorry, the oasis up outside the walls. I'm just scared that, if I put 5 farms there, one slave's going to spawn in an invasion and just instantly burn them all to a crisp, and that would,
Yeah. But at
that's
least
the
you can see
stressful
it.
side of Stronghold.
Exactly, yeah. And then you have to invest in a well and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah, and then it just snowballs out of control.
Yeah,
And
absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely. Okay, and then towers. So I literally, and this is again probably me just being terrible at Stronghold, but I literally never use that tower. I'm feeling I'm in the wrong here because you have used the tower. So why?
yeah.
And that's the first tower you go for. So I'm assuming you're saving up for it. That's your favorite tower. So why that tower?
Yeah, well, with the largest square tower and I think the largest tower, which is a circle tower, those are the only 2 out of the 5 options that you can place siege equipment in. Specifically the ballista and the mangonel, which is where you see these engineers are coming over now to go into those towers to man the siege equipment. So that's the there we go. Speaking of placing a dairy farm.
Ah, there we go. There it is.
Yeah.
You know, past
Um,
you did future you a
yeah.
service there. Yeah.
But yeah, so that's why I use the larger towers so I can place the castle defense siege equipment in, which
Ah,
massively help, especially with the new troops, the new demolishers that have a shield,
yeah.
essentially an extra health bar. The ballista really helps with them.
Oh, okay, yeah, because I was having massive issues. I mean, again, Stronghold noob. I just spam. Crossbowmen usually do quite well against them, but yeah, that archer
Yeah.
spam, I think they're a really good counter for that. So yeah,
Yeah.
I've had many a tower full of archers, which just those guys just absolutely bulldoze their way through to my walls. So
Yeah.
so you're saying ballista is like the ultimate counter to those troops.
I don't know if I'd say ultimate counter, but it
A
definitely
very
helps.
good option, yeah.
It's a lot better than having nothing.
Yes.
I would much rather have a larger tower with a ballista in it as opposed to just a smaller tower with just archers.
Absolutely. Okay, so it looks like you're pretty set up here. We've got the bakeries going. Now it's just a case of, I guess, monitoring. Are you trying to maximize happiness and taxes and all that sort of stuff at this point?
So managing the popularity of the town as well as praying that all the invasions come from this side of the map, at least for now. But yeah, so I don't know how much bread so what is that, 7 bakers I've got down. I don't know if that's quite enough to put double food rations. But I do have 2 inns down. So with 2 inns, unless you have, an insane amount of houses and peasants, normally 2 inns is enough for the steady supply of ale to keep a constant +8 popularity, which means you can have -8 taxes and still be like, you're going to break even.
Now, another question is, when I was recording for Stronghold D, which released in 2023, now available on Steam if you want to play it, but I had a little cheat sheet. So basically, when it got towards the end of the marketing campaign we were doing for it, we were doing a lot of gameplay, obviously, because the game was, we just wanted to show off the game in its full beauty, I guess. But I had a little cheat sheet, and it had a little startup guide with a specific amount of houses, a specific amount of farms, a specific amount of, again, depending on the scenario, obviously. But my question for you is, do you have that, or do you just memorize it? Is everything in your mind palace?
Yeah, my mind palace. I know. I was just thinking it would have been nice to get one of those cheat sheets.
I was going to say,
when
I
I
think,
started playing Crusader, because it's a hard game. So, but no, I think I played it so much at this point that genuinely I have a feel for how much farms I need, and how big my popularity is.
Yeah.
Then I need to place another farm, or
well, I guess every scenario is different, right? So you've got, you're starting with 1,000 gold here, but maybe you start with like 200 gold, and then the whole thing just flips on its head, right? So
yeah,
just your Stronghold intuition. Wow. What marveling at it, mate.
Well, we've
Marveling
already
at it.
seen about 20 mistakes already, so let's.
I mean, from where I'm sitting, and again, this is more for the, well, I guess it's for the hardcore player to mock you. It's for the casual player to, be amazed by you, I guess.
Well, hopefully the newer players can learn something from this.
Yes. Or at least you can give them a bunch of bad habits. you know.
Or that, yeah, exactly. Hey,
Yeah.
we'll have fun. So
Yeah, exactly. All right. So now you're all set up. So I think we're calming down in terms of stuff you can build. You're just surviving invasions here. So I just want to ask you a few questions about the new edition, and your favorite units and your siege equipment, any sort of new bells and whistles we have that you like. As somebody obviously that's played a bunch of Crusader, so you already said your favorite unit, or you already mentioned the Demolisher. So in terms of new units, which one has been your favorite to play with?
well, the Demolisher is quite fun as well. I would say I really like the idea of holding a shield up as you get closer to enemy castle walls, to block the arrow fire. But there's also another troop which I'm not actually sure if it's in the demo, but the eunuch, which is a much larger, tankier unit with two swords. That
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, and just quickly, so looks like you're planning to put another tower down. So in terms of your tower positioning, now you've zoomed in to look at the beautiful animation.
yeah, look at this inn, everyone's getting drunk. It's great.
All right, let's pivot. Let's go animations. Yeah, we got the inn. Everyone's getting wasted. We got the bakery. Very nice.
Looks like a fun town. If
Now,
you like bread and beer, then
oh, absolutely. I'll say this. I love bread and beer. So this is a place I would love, and it's by the seafront. What more
what
can
more
you
do
ask
you want?
for? Yeah, exactly.
It's
It's
beautiful.
basically Brighton. It's beautiful. But yeah. So I mean, I will admit, I feel there are two types of Stronghold players. There's those who min-max out of their castle, and they go as you've done, bakeries, grid, one by one by one by one. And then I feel like there's the romantics like myself who sort of try to space out their castle, a little organically, as if a medieval, lord would. But I'll say this. There's one person here who beat this mission, I assume within at least the first couple of tries, and there's one guy who played it 4 times and died every single time. So anyway, we will move on. So we discussed units, but what about siege equipment? What's your favorite piece of siege equipment?
I'm quite fond of the fire ballista. It's
You had to say the one which isn't in the.
I know. Sorry. Wait. Let me think. I don't know what other ones to say.
You can say fire ballista. You can say fire ballista. It's teasing it. It's teasing it. So what about the fire ballista?
Okay.
What's the best use of the fire ballista?
He similar to the ballista tower defense. It's just a very, very powerful tool to deal with armored troops. But not only that, if you use it while you're attacking an enemy, you can just set their keep on fire. So your army might die, all your troops might perish, but you could also burn their entire economy.
Yeah.
Essentially remove them from the game. So
yeah, I think fire's my favorite
it's
thing.
satisfying.
Yeah, exactly.
And we have the lovely new water pot as well, in this game.
Yes,
Which wasn't in Stronghold 1, I don't think.
Oh, wasn't it? Oh, I didn't know
I don't
that.
think so. I think it's I could be wrong, and that would be embarrassing. I think it's new. I think so.
I'll put a little on screen right now. I'll put a little comparison.
Cut that if it's if it's.
Very good. All right, now you've placed your second tower down finally. So, what's going on there? Why are they so? Because you said yourself, the bottom right, you got a flag there, so invasions could be coming from the bottom right.
Yeah.
However, you've doubled down on the top right.
I'm just praying.
Praying. Okay, fair enough.
Otherwise, I mean, I can't remember if there is an invasion from there. It might be a moment of panic. I've got maybe 10 archers in that tower.
Oh, yeah, you got some crossbowmen. Yeah.
Try and protect my quarries as much as possible.
Yeah, I didn't.
But no, yeah. So I try to stack as many towers as close together, up towards the top there. Just because they're all in range.
Yeah.
If I place them, it might look pretty, like you were talking earlier about. You like your castle.
Yeah, aesthetics. Yeah.
It's not the too many tiles far away. It won't reach the catapults in time.
Yeah. All right, we've got a game pause here.
This was a tactical thinking. There's a toilet break. That's all.
Okay, we're back. We had a brief moment there where Josh had to do a tactical,
I was checking my notes. What building to place next.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, then its cathedral must have been written down.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Your peasants were devoid of any spiritual healing, so So again, So cathedral, run us through how the cathedral works. Is there a reason you put it smack bang in the center, or is that aesthetics?
But they do actually provide, I think the cathedral provides 2 popularity bonus, like just for having it, just for existing. And then also you'll see there the priest, oh, he just entered the cathedral, but he'll come out in a minute and he'll walk around and bless people. And based on how much of your population is blessed, will add even more bonus popularity. So they are good for popularity, but they just look good.
Yeah, I was gonna say yeah. But when I was making the trailer, I was just putting churches and cathedrals and chapel everywhere they could go. Absolutely. All right, and then I just saw you put again to a casual fan what looked like a little green flag. So what's that all about? What happened there?
Yeah. So they're rally points. So all the military buildings like the barracks, the mercenary post, the Bedouin post, which aren't in the demo, but the barracks. While you're on the barracks, there's little green flags above all the troops.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially, you can place them wherever you want on the map, and then whenever you recruit a troop, they'll go to that flag. So I think that was it swordsman? What did I place? I can't remember what troop it was, but yeah, any troop I recruit of that type will automatically run to where I told them to.
Right. And then the way you positioned it, is that of any importance? Or I assume just to defend your keep more thoroughly.
Yeah, just to defend probably the weakest point of the walls at the moment. That's where I'm putting all the melee troops.
You haven't got any crenulations on those walls.
Oh no, yeah, I have the other ones. I must have
Oh,
run
I
out
know.
of
Yeah, I
stone.
see.
Too many towers.
How much stone have you got right now? That's no excuse. There's no excuse. All right, and then so we got catapults here. We got an invasion happening, and again, you're sending troops out instead of hermiting, which I would do. So I assume that's just to get rid of everything as soon as you can, so that your walls, you've got less repairing to do, right?
Yeah, essentially. And another point to note is the ballista that's in the tower. They are not only good for killing troops, but they're very, very good for dealing with siege equipment, which you've seen there. So, and they have a massive range. So you've seen that most of my archers and crossbowmen weren't actually attacking because they were too far away, but the ballista could still reach to take them out. But you've seen how much damage the one catapult done to my walls. So
yeah, absolutely. Well, it's giving your woodcutters a nice ease of access, apparently.
That's true. Yeah, the gate's closed, but they don't care. They're just
exactly. Yeah, you don't have to go through the politics of getting the gate guy to open up the gate and all that sort of shit.
No.
So, yeah. I did see you send your knights out, but they went and got a bit stuck in the marshlands. So I wasn't going to mention it, but
yeah, they do. It's very it slows you down very much. I was trying to. Oh God, I was trying to think of a quote there from that film. Never-ending story. That's what it is. Never-ending story.
Well,
right?
I've never seen it.
Have you not? Oh, there's a very traumatizing scene where a horse gets stuck in the mud. That's a sad thought. Let's not think of that. I was just saying, there's the crenulations that you so rudely pointed out. They're just
It was almost like you could hear me within the video. Like,
yeah,
you got a bit insecure about that.
Sometimes I watch this and I'm like, what the hell is this guy doing?
No.
And then I realize, wait a minute, it's me.
So yeah.
I must have a good reason for it.
Yeah, absolutely. But no, I think it's in terms of you have to keep your focus. There are lots of stuff, and that's why Stronghold games are so popular. Is that there's just I feel like it occupies your entire brain, and like every single taxes to farms to industry to units to every little thing. I see.
There's so many ways to play the game as well, which is the good thing.
Yeah,
you can play this mission 100 times differently each time.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I was talking to Simon, our lead designer on Stronghold. Stronghold is his brainchild, and this is the guy who literally made the first prototype of Stronghold. And I was talking to him about it, and he was like, "Oh, I don't even build a castle." And I was like, "What do you mean?" And he was like, "He doesn't connect walls or anything like that. He just he'll make towers, but just standalone little towers out to obviously get height advantage.
Yeah.
But in terms of building a connected concentric castle design, he just doesn't do it, which I found mind blowing. Because do you get a bonus for having your castle keep enclosed?
I don't think you get a bonus.
You get a voice line, right?
I'm sure about that. Yeah. So when you close off your castle, even after if a hole's been punched through the walls and you repair the walls, the scribe will let you know that the castle wall is now enclosed, and you can see above on the minimap at the bottom right, and the little green lock that indicates that your entire keep is walled off. So the AI can't attack you
Yeah,
just
yeah,
now
yeah.
unless they punched a hole through the wall.
Yeah. All right, and then we just saw you place down what looked like little spike traps. So what were those?
Yeah. So those are the wooden traps. They're also very good against the new troops, but they're just one of those things that if you have an abundance of wood, which luckily I do here, I'm surprised my woodcutters didn't get slaughtered in the last attack. But yeah, so if you've got excess wood, if you're not building any workshops, it's just an extra little bonus castle difference.
Very good. Very good. Right, back to again. You got everything set up. Again, you're giving us a lovely little look at all the lovely building animations that our artists have done, all that sort of jazz. So I think it's a good time to ask you who your favorite new AI lord is.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a hard one.
Yeah. I know. So,
I quite like the Sentinel. I like the way his castle looks. I think
Mm.
it's very unique.
What's special about his castle? Just as a little tease for our players.
Well, he is in the next demo mission. But
Oh, of
he's
course,
built
yeah.
like one of those like medals, the old school star medals, and
Yeah.
also it's just a nightmare to attack, which might sound ironic that it's one of my favorite castles to attack if it's so hard, but it's satisfying to look at, watch it crumble.
No, absolutely. You got to have your challenge, haven't you? Like, you can't just sit there. Who is it? Who's got the worst castle? The rat, maybe?
The rat, yeah, or potentially, well, the nomad has quite a weak castle. Out with the new AI,
Oh, the new ones.
but
Yeah.
yeah, he places the wooden traps, which is
Oh, does he?
well, spoiler if you
Oh,
haven't
spoiler.
because you can't see them, you can't see the enemy's traps, so yeah. That was quite a shock the first time you attacked. You're like, oh, there's nothing here. I can just walk in.
Yeah.
Oh, all my troops have just died too.
All right, and then, as I said, you're our resident, whether you like it or not, our resident stronghold expert. So what has there been? Obviously, we've got new content in the game, and we've got new trails and scenarios and everything like that. So, in your opinion, how hard is the new content? Like, is it more challenging? Is it easier than our other campaigns? Like, what have we got cooking for the hardcore stronghold fan?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I know I'm the resident expert.
Yeah.
Not self-proclaimed. I would just like to add. But I'm not sure if I'm the right judge of if it's harder or not. But I will say that the Sands of Time missions, especially, should provide a good challenge to even the most experienced Stronghold player.
And we got leaderboards coming to those, right? So have you been putting up your scores?
I was when we sent out the demo, I was number 1 for all of about half an hour, and then I think on even people's first playthroughs they beat my time, which it humbled me real quick.
Have you and the rest of the QA team seen any interesting designs from the community, or are you just focusing on your own game?
I'm just gonna keep in my head. I'm doing well. So
You do. Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, sometimes like I'll watch some like the gameplay on YouTube or something of somebody who's got hours and hours and hours in Stronghold, and I'll be like, what the hell are they doing with their castle? And then realize that I'm the problem. I think they're the weirdo, but really I'm just playing it terribly.
well, that's the thing about the leaderboards, right? It's you can opt into them if you want. It's not mandatory. So the fastest way to beat a level, your castle might look ugly, and maybe you don't want to do that. You can play it slow and have a nice castle. If that's what you want to do, it's totally up to you.
Yeah, I feel like I pitched this to Simon, but I don't think he liked it so much. That I think you should get an aesthetic bonus for your castle, like at the end when the leaderboard comes in, because at the moment we just got time and score and all that sort of stuff. But I feel there should be an aesthetic bonus, like a plus 1,000 points or whatever.
Definitely, yeah. No, I'm totally down for that. That's
I have no idea how you judge it.
Yeah, that's a hard one. That could be like a community judge. A section in the Discord where everyone could upload their pictures of their castles.
That's true. Yeah. It'd be good to. Yeah, we used to do our Stronghold map videos, so it'd be good to start those up again. All right. Anyway, back to the gameplay. So what we got going? You got more flags down. Now, see, Josh. Everyone. It always comes down to it. No matter how pro you are, no matter how good you are, everyone just puts a lot of crossbowmen in and archers into towers. That's what it devolves down to.
It's just the best strategy, you
Yeah.
know. Throughout history, you know, they're hard to deal with
That is true.
as an attacker.
It's historically accurate, I feel. But like, what would you do? Again, imagine our new Stronghold players coming in and maybe, you know, Crusader being the skirmish game, the multiplayer game. They jump into an online lobby and their friends put down like 4 massive towers full of archers. What's your advice to them on besieging their castle successfully?
Oh, there's the water pot I mentioned earlier, by the way. Just
I
just
missed
to
it.
point that out.
Oh, no, yeah.
Next to the market, yeah.
Wow, yeah.
But no, when it comes to attacking a well-defended castle with ranged troops, you can't go wrong with portable shields. They're absolutely, like, they are a lifesaver. If you are trying to attack a castle without them in Stronghold, you're going to struggle.
Yeah.
But you don't necessarily have to cover your entire army, you know, in portable shields to get them to reach the wall. You could always have 2 catapults guarded with portable shields, which is enough to keep them alive while they destroy the towers full of archers or the ballistas in the towers.
How many portable shields are you putting? Like, say if you got 5 troops per portable shield, or what's like the ratio?
Ooh, I would have said it probably the other way around. 5 portable shields per troop, maybe. Well, it depends how many archers or crossbowmen the enemy has.
Yeah.
You can never have too many portable shields.
That's true. That's
That's
true.
my mentality.
So you're
another thing about portables, or just in general, when it comes to moving troops. So if you have a group of troops highlighted, say, you know, so say these 2 crossbowmen I've got selected. If you hold Control and press the numbers, you know, 1 to 9, it will group them in that number. So in future, you could just say I press Control 1. In future, I can just press 1 on my keyboard, and it'll select that group of troops. So you don't need to go and find them, draw a selection box around them over and over. And that's really important when it comes to attacking a castle, because it means you can have your siege equipment in separate groups from your ranged troops, and then you can move them individually without it becoming panicky and a mess.
I was gonna say that whenever I besiege a castle, it's just one massive. I go for mass rather than any sort of like precision control.
Yeah.
So it's just, you know, I try to overwhelm in numbers, kind of like the Mongol horde. You know, there's no specific Roman tactics or whatever. I'm just everyone and their mums is going towards that castle, and
You're just praying that it's
exactly. Don't we
all or nothing, definitely.
So again, we got more chapels going down here. So what's the is that again aesthetics? Are you trying to increase your happiness, or?
I think here actually I am trying to increase my happiness. So I mentioned earlier that when you place a religious building, a priest or whoever it is will come out and bless your workers that are working nearby or standing around. But of course, if you have, for example, the quarries are so far away from the cathedral that by the time that the priest go out there to bless them, I would lose the blessing on half my popularity. So I'm trying to place them, spread them out so they're near all the farms or in all the buildings, so everyone gets blessed.
Right. Everyone gets blessed.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, well, we're trying. We're trying.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, because I was wondering, why you put one outside your castle walls. That seemed bold, but I guess it's
it's a risky play. Like,
yeah. Oh, you know, you got to add some excitement.
Backfire. We'll see.
Yeah, you got to add some excitement to your session. You know. All right, very good. And then at this stage, obviously, you're putting more houses down, etc., etc. So how are you? Is it you just running on intuition about when to upgrade you're putting some inns down here? So when is there a specific moment when you put like X amount of houses down that you just put more food down, or are you just going off like what your scribe is saying? Like if your popularity is going down, you probably need to have more food or whatever it may be.
A bit of everything, I suppose. So there at the end, so I was saying earlier that normally 2 inns is enough to supply an average castle with enough alcohol, or enough ale, sorry, to keep them happy. But because I placed some more houses, I've got a bigger population to feed and, you know, provide ale to, so I have to provide a 3rd inn to get the maximum of 8 bonus. So that's why I placed, you know, the extra in there at the end, was because I probably was hovering around +6, whereas that one extra in has put it up to +8.
Ah, very good. All right, and then so you've positioned your troops out here. So again, I said I like to hermit. The traditional play, how people historically think of castles, is they use them to hide their troops, right? They use them to put people behind the walls. But here you are putting every sort of swordsman, pikeman, maceman you have outside the front. So what's the reasoning behind that?
I think it just looks good.
Oh,
It's definitely not the smartest play. That's for sure. But at the same time,
that's what I told you. You could just say it looks good. That's all good.
but also with the new demolisher troop, the one that holds a shield up to protect against missile fire, they're really strong. Obviously, they take less damage versus your archers and crossbowmen, but they are quite weak to your swordsmen or your macemen. So it's just like an extra line of defense to prevent them reaching the wall, because if they hit the wall, it will fall over very, very quick.
Very good. All right, and then specific composition. Is there any reason that you have this? Most of your crossbowmen and archers, that's quite obvious why you've got those guys. But in terms of having that set amount of pikemen and macemen and swordsmen, what's the reasoning there? Why have you got all those different troops?
That's honestly just an aesthetic thing.
There we go.
I don't want to have 100 swordsmen.
There we go.
That just it's very grey. I'd like to have
yeah, there we go.
variations.
See, the aesthetics get to us all. It's not just me. It's not just me. Yeah. And then we see you here. We're expanding the castle. We're also putting down a massive wall. So that's pretty obvious one, right? You're just getting closer to the enemy invasion, so you can start raining down fire
exactly.
as soon as they start. Yeah. Very good.
Still praying that nothing comes from the other side of the map.
I was gonna say that you've been. I would say you've been very fortunate.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. And again, this is on. I think this is just on easy, which is the default difficulty. If this was on hard and I got attacked from the other side of the map, I'm a goner, probably, honestly. So
yeah.
Don't do what I do. It's not.
Unless you're on easy, which
Unless you're on easy, and then if you like to take a risk, for sure.
Oh yeah, I mean that's part of the reason to give people a look behind the curtain. Part of the reason we play on easy and part of the reason we pre-record these is because we've had a fair few live streams where I've failed a mission again, and it just it's not fun for anybody. So
yeah, it took me a couple of attempts to record the Sands of Time mission, because I just failed and I was like, oh well.
Now I've got through most of my questions for you, Josh, but maybe the most controversial. We haven't had this unit in the game just yet. It still was getting art passes when we were bringing out the demo. But are you a man to spam horse archers or not?
Depends on what I'm attacking.
So yes, I'm going to take that as a yes.
Sometimes yes. I find them they are very strong, but especially so to deal with the AI lords that use siege defense. So the ballistas and mangonels, they're very good to deal with them.
Oh, really? I didn't know
to
that.
run them along. Yeah, I think because they can very quickly get up close to destroy the ballistas before your army gets within range.
Right.
And just kind of harass the enemy.
Oh, that's a good defense against using them, because I was very petty and I would just use them to harass and kill people's.
I remember how you play in a multiplayer game. Yeah, I know. I was going so easy on you, and then you just turned around and attacked me.
For context, we had a multiplayer session to test Stronghold Crusader Definitive Edition's multiplayer stuff, and there was 8 of us in a game. And to be fair, Josh, I did have to leave early, so.
Conveniently,
yes.
As soon as you're away to die, you're like, oh, I've got to go. That's all right. Yeah.
I'm a toxic positive rage quitter, so I'll never rage. I'll never actually rage quit, but I'll just happen to leave.
Yeah.
But that was to be honest, I don't think I remembered it was. I didn't think I knew it was your castle until it was too late. Yeah.
But that was good fun, though.
That was good fun. Yes. And of course, if you want to play 8-player skirmish when Stronghold DE or Stronghold Crusader DE, I should say, comes out, then we'll have that functionality in there with a whole bunch of new multiplayer features, which we'll be discussing later on in the campaign. Very good. All right, just a couple final questions for you, Josh. I feel we're nearing the
See
end.
my
You've
quarry
oh, we've
buried
got
alive.
a
Yeah.
yeah,
They attacked from the other side
we've
and
got an invasion
burned
from the other
everything.
side. Wow. Oh yeah, the slaves. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
See,
Don't worry,
this is
my
where
troops are coming
yeah,
slowly but surely again.
this is why you said it was a roll of the dice, right?
Oh yeah.
But
Thankfully, I've already got the stone I needed to build my towers at this point.
yeah.
So
Oh,
it's fine.
this is one of the most painful bits of Stronghold is when you've got like a massive strong army, but obviously like for balancing, we have to make them slow because they're such heavy hitters. So you just have to
Yeah.
wait until your troops arrive, which again, has to be that way through design. But it's painful. It's painful. But I see. But this is why you've got the macemen, right? So you can get straight.
Yeah,
over
they're much quicker than the swordsmen and the pikemen.
Yeah. Was this the is this the final invasion?
I don't think so. I think there should be one, maybe two more.
I was gonna say that would have been unlucky if the final invasion happened to be the one that strikes from below.
Yeah, that would have been game over, I think.
Yeah, and then we got the demolishers coming. Oh, and so these are caged dogs that you've put out here.
Yeah, just another castle defense, much like the wooden traps. It's just an extra line of defense, and they are actually very effective. I don't think people use them as much.
Well, I think that's because there's a bit of a randomness with them, right? Where
yes.
they can, yeah,
You've got to pray.
Yeah, exactly. Because your macemen seem to be doing, getting hit by them a little bit. But very good. So that's the second. Oh, where's your water pot, guys? Oh, there they are. There they are.
They're getting there.
They're getting there.
Yeah, I didn't position them very well. I should have had them probably outside the castle. But
yeah, true.
yeah.
Very good. All right, and then final question, and I'm hoping this one will cover us until the final invasion. But what for you, if you can think of it off the top of your head, what's been the hardest mission so far for you, having played the full version of Crusader?
Oh god, that's there's a lot of missions in Crusader
Yeah.
that are very, very hard.
Well, I'm hearing Sands of Time is especially.
Well,
difficult.
yeah, so far Sands of Time has proven very difficult, and well, we hope that it's as challenging as the original trail. But in the original missions, what's the hardest?
Yeah.
I mean, I'll have to say mission 80. I think that has to be one of the hardest, right?
I mean, considering it's number 80, you'd.
Yeah, I think it's it's the last one in the second trail. I think I can't remember what it's called. Maybe it's called the big one, or maybe that's mission 50.
Oh yeah, it rings a bell actually.
But that takes a long time, and it's very hard.
How long did it? So have you completed it yet?
I have not completed it yet.
Oh, I see.
It's proven quite the challenge. I will, of course, I'll get around to finishing it.
Yeah.
And once the Sands of Time content and stuff is kind of finished with, I can revisit the old ones and try and finish them. But no, they're hard. They're very hard.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, that's the plan, right? You kind of want it like if you're getting to a mission, in the 70s and 80s, you want to be sort of holding on for dear life.
Yeah, which you definitely are. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
I might have to admit, I have when I started out on Crusader, there were certain missions in the trail where I definitely had to YouTube a class, an old school player finishing it. So.
Yeah. Well,
I can't chicken them, at least I'll watch someone else do it and I'll copy them.
Yeah.
Take the glory,
Yeah. But there's some like, it's. I don't know if it's my age or my experience with strategy or RTS games, but like sometimes watching some people online play is like
it's crazy.
It's like watching someone play classical piano on the keyboard. It's just like it's absolute crazy, and they like within like 10 seconds they've got a min-max sort of farm and like food system going and industry and everything like that, and it's just it's pretty insane. I'm not one for the for skirmishing against anybody. I like the single player content, but like I just panic too much when we're in like multiplayer games and everything like that, and I feel like
there's a lot to watch out for, especially if there's no teams involved and everyone's an enemy. you've got 7 people that can potentially attack you. It can be stressful.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fun, but stressful.
Yeah, I've always enjoyed doing the whole like playing with a mate against several AI, but it's when you're playing against other human players, and literally like you're watching their castle, being like, what are they putting down? And then you look at your castle, but then obviously the time you're spending looking at their castle, you're not tending to your castle, and just haven't got the minerals for it. I'll be honest, haven't got the minerals. Okay, so I think we're at our final invasion. Again, you're looking at James Sprinkle for some reason.
I'm looking at William P. Bucket, the hops farmer.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know, if you every peasant you click on or worker will have their own little voice line and little name that I'm sure Simon and Eric came up with in many a yesteryear. But it's one of those little Woozle Factor things we like. So yeah, here we go. Here's your final invasion. I'm nervous for you, Josh. I'm nervous.
Well, thankfully, it's attacking from the side.
Yes.
Where all my defenses. So yeah, and again, this is on easy, so it's a very relaxed final invasion. At this point, because I have so much defenses.
Yeah. But yeah, as we see that, but this is exactly why you put your farms on the other side of the castle, right? Because all these slaves,
they would have been burnt to a crisp.
Yeah, exactly. But now your dogs are doing well. So yeah, the blister's doing work as you said, and yeah, this feels humbling for the invaders. I'll be honest. Like,
hey, they're trying to attack me, Like,
yeah, it's true. But when you're sieging of a castle, like when your people you were sieging come out to see you, that must be pretty embarrassing. That must be
the tables turn for sure.
Exactly. So yeah, we're just finishing off the troops, and then that guy's running. That guy's running for his life. Very good. Cool. All right. I mean, I think with that final invasion, we can start wrapping it up, Josh. So, firstly, I want to thank you for joining me today. There we go. We've got the victory banner coming out. So thank you very much for explaining all your tips and tricks and techniques, Josh. I'm hoping the people watching this can, take some little tactics away with them to improve their Stronghold gameplay. Is there any parting words you want to give to the Stronghold fans before we let them go?
Don't be too mean. I hope if anyone was struggling with either of the missions, hopefully they can learn something. I'm not claiming to be the best, but I can finish the mission, so I'm sure
exactly. I just think finishing the mission is the qualification enough.
Exactly. And my castle looked quite nice.
Again,
we'll let them decide.
Yeah. I would say before you start talking yourself up, I would let them have final say. But yes, thank you very much. And just to finish up, of course, if you like what you saw here today, Josh's excellent gameplay, of course, this is the brand new Stronghold Crusader Definitive Edition, which launches on July 15th, 2025, which you can wishlist on Steam right now. And we will see you next time for a Firefly Studios video. See you later.